Yeah, baby. Love this intro music, man. This is hope for the podcast, bro. I'm in the zone now. As soon as I hear that, triggers my mind. I'm ready to roll. All right. So welcome to Master Phil in your corner with Master Phil and my partner here, Dougie Fresh Friedman from the Undefeated Media Studios. And today we have an incredible guest. I met this young man back in 2013. He and his brother are at the pinnacle, the forefront of the convict conditioning calisthenics renaissance that's been going on in the in the fitness world. And Danny is either authored or co-authored a whole bunch of books. I mean, you have Get Strong, Next Level Strength, Everybody Needs Training, Street Workout, Diamond Cut Abs, Strength Rules. He's been featured in the New York Times on Men's Fitness, and he's been on 2020. And he's an advocate for consistency, hard work, and moving, staying fit. Everybody has to work out. Everybody needs to train. This is none other than my good friend, my brother, Danny Kavadlo. Welcome, Dan.
Hey, Phil. Hey, Doug. It's really great to be here today. I want to thank you for that great and glorious introduction. You're right. Consistency and hard work. These are the things that I live by. These are the things that I preach, both in the gym and out of the gym, in fitness and in life. And I would also like to thank you for referring to me as a young man. I appreciate that. The longer I'm on this spinning orb that we live, the more I feel less and less like that. So thanks for those kind words. And I want to tell you, I've known you, I think I met you in 2013. Yep, so it's been a while. You've been at my house for dinner. I've been at your house for dinner. You're a true friend, your family, as far as I'm concerned. So this podcast, I do a lot of podcasts, but this is one podcast I am super excited to be on. I just want to thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. Let's get this party started. What can I say?
Well, hey, thanks for coming on. The cool thing is that you have such a neat background. I don't know how many people, even your clients, really know, how you started out, what prompted you to get into the body weight strength and to take it to this like ridiculous level. So I know you were a musician for a while, yes, and were you doing the training simultaneously? Tell us a little bit about that and how you got on this path and just took it to the next level, probably the highest level of anyone I've ever seen.
Well, I started out, working out when I was a kid, maybe 11 or 12 or 13. I had an uncle that gave me a weight bench and a barbell, and like a lot of kids around that age. I grew up in Brooklyn before Brooklyn was Brooklyn, what it is today, Brooklyn. I grew up in neighborhoods that there's still no white people in. So, I wanted to get strong. I wanted to be tough. I wanted to be comfortable taking the bus home. So me and my brothers, we started working out, and fitness has always been a part of that. But I didn't get into career fitness until a little bit later in life. So I played music for a long time. I was very fortunate that, I'm 46 now. Well, 40. I'll be 46 in August. I'm trying to get ready to say it. And when I was doing the music thing, I was the type of guy, right? We'd be loading our equipment into the club, and everyone would be drinking and smoking. And I would be doing a little bit of that, but I'd also be doing 300 sit-ups on the floor. I'd also be doing my push-ups. And, the funny thing is, I was in a band, and we opened up for some pretty interesting acts. And one of the acts that we opened up for was the Misfits. And this is maybe mid-'90s. This is mid-'90s. So Glenn Danzig was not the singer at this time. He had already left. He was singing Mother. He was doing all the things he was doing. But the other guys were still pretty jacked. And it's a funny thing with the Misfits because they had a whole truck with all their equipment. They had a bus that they lived on. And then they had a road crew driving a separate truck that had fitness equipment on it. And they would have the road crew unload the fitness equipment. They would work out. And then the road crew would load the fitness equipment back onto the truck. And I remember thinking, man, if they just unloaded the equipment themselves, they wouldn't have to do the workout. So I was always an advocate of this. But when the music came to a screeching halt, as it does, and I was lucky to have as good a run as I had, I got into a couple other things. I did production. I did event marketing. I did a lot of different very silly and ridiculous jobs. But until my son was born in 2006, I never wanted to be a trainer. It was just not something that was on my radar, even though I was a fitness appreciator and a fitness aficionado. But at the time that my son was born, I was actually working for a liquor brand, and I was doing liquor promotions, spring break, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And it was cool because I got to travel. I got to see a lot of different things. I got to go cross country and do events and all over the world. But really, this is going to sound mad corny, so I apologize if anyone thinks I'm a big cornball for this. But when my son was born, I remember there was a photo taken of him when he was just a baby, and I was holding him in one arm, and I was holding my BlackBerry in the other arm. And I'm looking at the BlackBerry. I'm dating myself here by even saying BlackBerry, but I'm looking at the BlackBerry over here, and I was like, this is not the route I want to go. And at that time, my brother Al, who you mentioned in the introduction, he was already working as a trainer for a few years. And at that time, he had been telling me, hey, you should be a trainer. Hey, you should be a trainer. Hey, you should be a trainer. And like a lot of people that get good advice, I chose to ignore it. But at that time, when I saw this photo, I was like, this really isn't what I want to do. I don't want to do this marketing stuff. I don't want to do this promotional stuff. I want to stand up for a living. I want to help people be better. I don't want to push booze to college kids. This is not something I want anymore. So at that time, I did what most people would not do, but I quit my job in my 30s, and I got a gig as an entry-level, level 1, junior entry-level trainer at a chain gym in New York City. And it was a ridiculous job. You know, I had to show up and give people their complimentary workouts that were included with their membership. The laws were different then. Now trainers have to get paid. When I started doing this, you did not have to get paid. So I would show up and give people free workouts, basically. And that hour of me giving them a free workout was my chance to kind of acquire them as a client. So I started at the bottom, the way everyone should start in any business you do, whether it's training, music, business, finance, it doesn't matter. You start at the bottom. That's how you cut your teeth, you know?
Can I jump in here with you? Here's the thing. You bring up a very interesting point about starting at the bottom, paying your dues. Here's the problem that I see. A lot of people, they look at you now and they say, oh my God, I want what you have. I want to be famous. I want this. I want that. I want to be able to do flags. I want to be able to do handstands and push-ups on one arm hanging off a cliff. You know, and I want to have this, that, and the other thing. But did you put in the time? Did you pay your dues? You've paid your dues. I mean, I listened to you, and you also talked about something. There's a mentality I think that's lacking from in current times. Is when you were a young guy, you wanted to be strong and tough.
Yeah, young guys today, they don't want to be strong and tough. I don't know what they want to do.
I don't know what. I don't know either. Do they know? I don't even know if they know. Okay? I mean, all the guys I know, man, we wanted to be strong, tough, and be successful. And then when we got older, we traded that up for being successful in our given craft. And I mean, you know, you've taken it to this level, and you hit on the point. You paid your dues. And how many things have you paid your dues on and then flopped at? I mean,
well, that's a key thing that you bring up, Phil, because, you know, how do I say this? You have to flop at things. Like, you have to fail. People right now, everything is so dogmatic one way or the other. Failure, success, black and white, this and that. And anybody who has achieved any success, whether it's in fitness or in life or in any discipline they pursued, has fallen flat on their face 1,000 times. When you fall flat on your face, that's not a sign of weakness. You get back up and you keep pursuing it. I mean, look at you. You're a boxer. You're a martial artist. You're skilled in so many disciplines. Master Phil, the kettlebell coach. You didn't pick up a kettlebell and be great at it. You had to have the thing kick your butt for a while before you got somewhat good at it. And that's the thing. Sucking at something is the first step to being great at it. It's actually the first step, the second step. If you look at the path to success, it's not try, succeed. It's try, fail, try, fail, try, fail, try, fail, try, fail, try, be okay, try, fail, try, fail, try, be pretty good, try, and that's how you do it. So I was in my 30s. I was in my 30s. I was a junior trainer. I was working with kids. I was a dad. I was a junior trainer working with my peers were 18 years old. The guys who had the same job I did. It was embarrassing in one way, but hey, I had no experience doing the job. I had been working out since I was a kid, but I didn't know what it meant to do that job. And if you want to start doing a job, you start at the bottom. That's how you learn it. And within a few months, I went from a level 1 junior trainer to a level 2 junior trainer. And I'll tell you the truth, within a year, they made me the manager of that gym because I was ready to outwork, because I was from a different generation. I was ready to outwork and outthink and show up earlier and stay later. You got a client that wants to train at 5:30 in the morning? I'm here. I'm your guy. You got someone that wants to train at 9:30 p.m.? I'm here. I'm your guy. And sometimes they signed on for training and sometimes they didn't sign on for training. But it doesn't matter. I'm here to work. And I know what you're saying, man. I know what you're saying. And I think that really it comes down to us as parents, your father, it comes down to us as parents to instill that ethic in our kids. And, being a father is the greatest honor that was ever bestowed upon me by God and the universe or whatever forces are at play here. And I'm not going to disappoint. That's my number one thing right now. And it's up to us because the schools aren't going to do it. The government's not going to do it. No one's going to do it. If anything, they're going to encourage the opposite. And it's up to us to instill hard work, work ethic, values, and show people show our kids, show the future that, no, you can't just whine about things. You have to earn things. And I think earning somehow has become an outdated principle. And that's saddening to me, honestly.
It really is. It's what made guys like us. It's what made this country. It's what made this country great. And the thing is, I as you know, I have a 26-year-old and a 24-year-old, my daughter.
And they're achieving amazing things. Congratulations to Nikki Ross for all her academic accomplishments. She's getting her master's now. What the hell? Good.
No, she's getting her doctorate in microbiology.
Holy cow. I misspoke. Sorry, Nikki. I misspoke. Good for her.
Check this out. She also set 3 New Jersey State powerlifting records. Okay. So it's like, and then my son, he graduated from Dartmouth and he was all decade North Jersey for shot put.
I remember when I had dinner at your house.
Yeah. Spencer
didn't even join us because he was downstairs working out. He had to get his workout in. It's like, sorry, I got to get this done. And that's important, It's like mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, you have to put in work to achieve anything.
And now I'm explaining this to my 10-year-old the other night because she's on the computer and so she got scammed on some game or whatever, I don't know. So, and she goes, I go, listen, honey, she's like, Daddy, but you're good at everything. I'm like, no, I'm not. I go, yeah. I go, for everything that you see I've done well, I failed like 20, 25, 30, maybe 50 times before I got it right. I mean, it's just you just see what I've been successful at. You don't see all my failures. You know why? Because I don't dwell on them. I fail, I see what I did wrong, and I fix it, and I go on. And I try to get better and smarter. And this is what failure teaches children. And the thing is that people want to protect their children from failure too much. And it's spread right into our general society right now.
I agree 100%. I mean, I'm all about, me, I'm all about positivity. I'm all about encouragement. And at the same time, you got to mess up a lot of times to that's part of the process. Like, I'm goal-oriented. Yeah, I think it's a good thing to be goal-oriented. I do still. Again, I'm showing my age with that one. But I'm also process-oriented. And part of the process means that you do the best you can, and sometimes you fall flat on your butt when that happens. Sometimes you achieve, sometimes you fail. And that's okay. It's okay. You pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, you get back in the ring, or you show up at work again. I have people, you mentioned the calisthenics stuff or human flag, a one-arm push-up or blah, blah, blah. And everyone's like, oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. I tell people, I'm like, you're impressed by a human flag? If you knew how many hours it took me to do that, if you knew how many times I failed at it, if you knew how long it took me, you probably wouldn't be so impressed. You'd probably just say, okay, yeah, he put in a lot of hours in that. And it's not a question of being impressive. It's a question of pursuing something and putting in time. And, you mentioned the music before. It's the same thing with music. It's the same thing with playing an instrument. It's the same thing with learning a foreign language. It's the same thing with learning martial arts. You don't just learn this stuff. You put in hours every day, not for a week, not for a month, but for years. Yes. For years. How many years have you been a martial artist? Like, how many years have you put in? You can't even count how many hours you did.
No,
it's not a question of hours.
So guys, I want to touch base, interject this little, you guys can run with this. I think these participation awards are doing us a huge disservice because now these kids are getting told they're good at something that they're not really good at, and they wouldn't be pursuing something that they would be good at. So these participation awards, like, yeah, you win, yeah, you're good at basketball or soccer, and then they're gonna have a rude awakening when they're not. And all that time that they were putting into something that they thought they were good at, they're not really good at.
When you give everybody, and look, again, I have to say this, I have to be clear. I am all about positivity. I am all about affirmation. I am all about encouragement, and I am all about motivation. But if everybody is number one, then nobody's number one. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there's a great Michael Jordan story that he tells when he gives speeches, and he talks about how in 9th grade, he got cut from the basketball team. Yep. And his mother was like, yo, this whole summer, you got to play harder. You got to work harder. You got to train yourself. You got to be better. And then fast forward, and he's the greatest that ever was, arguably. And
I agree.
Yeah. And, again, I'm all about encouragement. I'm all about positivity. But when you're blowing smoke up somebody's ass, you're not doing them a favor. You're doing them a disservice. Absolutely. And you could be encouraging, but not lie to somebody. When everyone's number one, nobody's number one. Come on now.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be someone at the top. And, and if people think that everyone's going to be equal or even, no, someone is always going to take charge. Someone will always rise to the top. Someone will always take over. And so there's that. It's not going to happen like that. So what you better do is you better train yourself to be good at something, or really, get very accomplished at something, so you can be number one in whatever you do, or at least be in that top echelon of what you do. And you're not going to get it given to you.
And it's a good thing to hold standards that are based on merit. Like, somehow we've gotten ourselves in a world where if you hold standards that are based on some kind of merit, then that's seen as disingenuous or discriminatory or not appropriate or wrong. But no, I don't agree with that. I think that if I'm going to hire a plumber to build me a new bathroom, I want to hire someone who's really good. If I'm going to hire a trainer, I want to hire someone who's really good. I think that making decisions based on merit is a good thing. And somehow this has become not a good thing for some people. And that's something that is difficult for me to understand and wrap my head around, because I've sucked at so many things in my life, and there's still a lot of things I suck at. And that's good. And maybe I could look at someone who's better than me at these things, and maybe I can learn from them, or maybe I could be inspired by them. But and I'm all about the positivity, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, we have to base certain things on merit. We're talking about family a lot. Like my son, he's into acting, he's into theater, he's into comedy, and he's going to a high school, Edward R. Murrow High School in Brooklyn. If schools open up, that's another story. But he's going to a high school, entering 9th grade in September, and he had to audition for it. He had to try out. And they want kids that are good. They want kids that display a certain level of, maybe not who are great, but who display a certain level of potential or hard work or workmanship or discipline, aptitude. That's the word I'm looking for. And if they just take whatever, then it kind of pollutes the whole environment. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to be good at things. It's not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of badness. And in fact, that should inspire other people to get better at whatever they do. We talked about music before. I sucked on drums for 100 years before I was pretty good. And I tried out for bands and they turned me down. And that made me want to step up my game. And it made me want to sit in the basement and practice more. It made me want to listen to more music. It made me want to try harder. It made me want to practice those rudiments more. And it's the same thing in the gym, and it's the same thing in everything. Like hard work, it's a good thing, right? I mean, I'm preaching to the choir over here, but come on now, you know?
Yeah. It's, you know, and that's one thing that I think that our society, like maybe not our kids, because we, you know, try to set a good example for them, but as a society, we're taking that away from our children, and we're saying, hey, you know, oh, you're so good, you're great at this, you're great at that, you know, and it's not true. Should you beat down your kid and give them, like, you know, negativity all the time when they fail at something? No, but you say, hey, listen, here's where you can do better on this. Let's work on it. You know, and people, everything's so disposable right now. They just throw it out, move on to the next thing. Throw it out, move on to the next thing. Oh, I quit. I'll just sit here and play on my Game Boy or whatever it is instead of working hard. And, you know, if you get cut from the basketball team, how many of those kids, they get cut from the basketball team, they're going to go and react like Michael Jordan did. They're going to say, forget it, and maybe play a pickup game here and there instead of working their tails off to get back in there and prove it. I mean, yeah, you know, I was a wrestler, so, you know, it's real easy. You either beat the guy in front of you or you don't, you know. So, you know I had to be better than them to be able to wrestle on the varsity team or to get my spot. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't get the spot.
That's right. And I'm sure you won sometimes, and I'm sure you lost sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you know, I wound up being more on the winning side than the losing side. But you know what? Every loss I had, I learned from it and, you know, took from it. And that's the only way you're going to get better. You have to lose. You have to experience failure. And one of the things that is really kind of cool, that I don't know if these guys get this, is this, I don't know, what are they, Generation Z or whatever it is now, or millennials.
The millennials are like 30 now, bro.
They're all kids to me. I don't know. So
right, by this thing, anyone younger than me is a millennial. Anyone older than me is a boomer.
Yeah, exactly. I'm last of the boomers. I'm in one of the last years of the boomers, believe it or not. So I'm
Generation X. We listened to Nirvana and we also worked hard. You know, it was interesting.
Yeah, now I forgot what I was talking about because I'm a boomer.
No, but I'm not right. Okay, boomer. No, but the thing is that you're saying, well, at least what I'm perceiving from what you're saying, is that there's a certain work ethic that not only has kind of faded away. Maybe I'm putting my own opinion into this now, but I feel like it's almost looked down upon culturally at this point. And it's not good. Like hard work should not be seen as a bad thing. Hard work is a virtue. Anyone who did anything great has worked hard and has failed and done it again and again. And for this to be seen as not a virtue is a very unusual and strange thing. But I think it goes back to also just we're in a very dogmatic place societally right now. You know, there's not any nuance. It's like you're this or you're this, and there's nothing in between. Yeah. And life is not nuanced. I mean, life is not dogmatic like that. Life is nuanced. I'm correcting myself. I said life is not nuanced. I meant life is nuanced. I'm spewing over here. So life is nuanced, and there are many shades of gray over here. I could feel things that might seem contradictory if you were going to distill them down into a meme on Facebook. But in reality, the world is not Facebook memes. The reality is that the world is a very complicated and nuanced and sublime place. And I think we get ourselves in a very dangerous place in fitness and in life and in culture, where it's you're good or you're bad. You're this or you're that. And that's what the hell we're in right now, you know? And I feel like, you know, to address the elephant in the room, what we're all going through, you know, we're all in separate studios right now because of, you know, lockdowns, or I refuse to say quarantine because quarantine is what you do with sick people and none of us are sick, but we're in a lockdown right now. and we're all in separate places. And what that does is that makes people less active. It makes people move less. And more detrimentally than that, it's making people sit on their Facebook and on their Twitter and on their social media and make rash judgments about things they may or may not really know about or understand. And, everybody went from being an infectious disease expert to an expert in race relations to expert in whatever the heck is going on right now. And we got to hear each other. We got to listen to each other, and we got to chill out with at the risk of being controversial. And this is a statement that would have never been controversial 6 months ago. But at the risk of being controversial, I'm all about unity. And right now, that's a controversial thing to say. So the world has gone mad,
How did that happen? You brought up an interesting point before, because you brought up, it's basically polarization. So you're here, right? So if you draw a line from here, okay, you draw a line between these 2 points, right? People don't realize that a line is nothing but a bunch of points strung together. So between these 2 polarized areas, there's a whole bunch of points in there that are being ignored, and you can't have it. That's not life. I mean, it's something with just, let's relate it back to training. Okay. There's many different modalities to training, right? I mean, look, we do what we do because we like, you are the foremost guy on body weight conditioning. Me, I love that. That's one of the things I love, but I'm not your level, but I'm kettlebells, man. I love it. But is one better than the other? Right? Why not do both? Or why not? Hey, this works for him. This works for him. It's like, does somebody do Zumba? Am I going to look down on somebody doing Zumba? No, you know what? They're doing something. They're training. They're working out. Is it what I like to do? No, I watch it. It's kind of nice. But I mean, it's not for me, So
I agree with you 100%. I mean, you got these, there's so much, and I'm glad you brought it back to training. That was wise. But there's so much. I mean, even right. So I'm known for calisthenics, for body weight training. If I post an Instagram post of me pressing a bar or deadlifting a bar, people write to me and they're like, "What? I thought you were calisthenics." I'm like, "Yo, I'm a strength training guy, man. I want to be strong. I want to be healthy. Deadlift makes me strong. Deadlift is a great exercise. I'm not going to spit on a deadlift. It's like the best lift in the world. I'm not going to frown upon a deadlift. Deadlift, lift weights, do cable machines, do whatever you want, man. Go for a run. It's not mutually exclusive." And you could do many things. It's like if somebody said to you, "Oh, Phil, you're a fighter. You can't do kettlebells." You'd be like, "What are you talking about, man?"
It's funny because I was listening to one of Marty Gallagher a couple weeks ago.
I love Marty. I love Marty.
I love him, man. And it was talking about a deadlift variation. Now, I don't lift weights that much. I used to be an elite level power lifter. But you know what? I was listening to the talk on it, and I'm like, hey, you know what? Let me do this. So I tried it out, and I threw a video up of me doing it, and it was kind of cool because it was keeping tension. When you do your deadlift and you go full range of motion, you rest at the bottom even for a split second because you touch, right? So you're losing tension. Right. So what they do is they did the deadlifts raised. So what I did was I took a couple of 35-pound plates, threw a mat over them, stood on that to do my deadlift. So throughout the whole rep range, the 5-6 reps, whatever I was doing, I had tension the whole time. It was awesome. It was constant tension through the whole rep range.
I'm going to try that, right? Because you touch it to the ground and you kind of reinitiate it.
Yeah. You don't touch the floor at all. I have a YouTube video on it. I think actually Annie liked it.
No, I saw it. I liked it too. Okay. I like you shared it on Facebook, right?
Yes, I shared it on Facebook.
I didn't see it on YouTube. I saw it on Facebook. Yeah, no. I mean, it's a great lift and that's a great technique. When I get home.
Yeah, right.
I'm on vacation in Ocean City, Maryland. When I get home, I'm going to try that in my home gym.
Yeah. It's, look, am I going to sit there because I love kettlebells more than anything? I'm going to say, barbells are bad. I can't get anything from them. It's silly.
But you've seen that. I'm sure you've seen that.
I've seen it.
Business, as long as you have, I'm sure you've seen kettlebell guys knock barbells, knock dumbbells. These are all great tools, man. There's a lot of great tools out there, and you may like what you like and do what you like, and that's cool, man. I'm all about people's choices. I'm all about everyone should do what the hell they want to do. But to say that the kettlebell is the best, well, maybe it is. But maybe a barbell is also great. Or maybe a barbell is the best for this particular lift. And a kettlebell is the best for this type of thing. And a pull-up is great for what a pull-up is for. I mean, I remember I was doing a workshop, and I teach workshops. I'm gonna give a little plug here, the Progressive Calisthenics Certification. We do it all over the world. It's the PCC. It is the first and the best bodyweight certification ever. And we do the PCC all over the world, and hopefully we can do it again sometime. We had to postpone a few in Taiwan and New York, but when we start doing the PCC again, I hope to see everybody there. But I was doing a PCC certification, and we were talking about pull-ups, obviously, because it's a very minimalist equipment-wise workshop. And somebody in the group said something about how pull-ups are great, which they are, and how lat pull-downs on the cable machine are bad. And I was like, well, they're not bad. It's different than a pull-up. If I'm training somebody, and there's a lot of people out there, and if there's somebody, some people are not ready for pull-ups yet. You and me, we've been doing them for a long time. A pull-up seems like a basic exercise to us. There's a lot of people who want to change their lives and want to get in better shape, and they can't do a pull-up. Well, what is a way that they can work these muscles? What is a way that they can work within their fitness level? Do a lat pull-down. I train. I do personal training is my main job. I train at a lot of different gyms, or at least I used to up until March 16th. And one of the gyms that I trained at was called Complete Body on 19th Street in Manhattan. This is a bodybuilding gym. And I'm going to tell you right now, there are people doing lat pull downs who are a lot stronger than I am because they're training it very specified to hit certain muscles for what their discipline is. And when this person said that, they're like, lat pull downs are whack. I'm like, no, they're not whack. Lat pull downs are great. It's not the same exercise as a pull up, but it is targeting those same muscle groups, and it absolutely has a place. And I feel like when we get into a place in fitness and in life where we're saying this is good and that's not good, it's like then we're just being closed-minded. Then we're just closing our minds, we're closing our lives, and ultimately what we're doing is we're handicapping ourselves when we do that. So we got to be open to things.
Absolutely. It also brings up another point too, is that, and this is something I've learned, is that, because you stress yourself out when you're sitting there thinking that your thing, your way is the best, and everybody else's is no good. You gotta force. Oh, you gotta show them how you're right and they're wrong and so forth. You know what? You're not. You know what? You're not always right. And maybe you're right for you, or you're right for this person, but you're not right for the other. Because if everybody's right for everyone will be married to each other.
Right.
And
that'll be gross. You mentioned Marty Gallagher earlier, and one of the first times I met you, Phil, was at the Marty Gallagher workshop that he did in Pennsylvania. Yep. And he was talking, and he had some amazing athletes there, some amazing powerlifters there. And Marty was talking about programming a little bit. And one of the things that he said was that, you have a plan, you have what your workout is going to be, but, there are times where you're just going to deviate it. When you show up at the gym and you think you're going to do A and you wind up doing B, because whatever outside environmental things or whatever's going on inside you is going to make you change your plan. And for me, that was really amazing to hear a legendary powerlifter like Marty say something like that, because I feel the same way. Is we all want to have a plan, and we all want to have what we think is the right thing. But when you get into the situation and the circumstances and your experiences and what's actually happening right now in front of you might be different than the preconceived notion of what you thought was going to happen, well, then we have to adjust our plans. And to me, that's the most important thing about training is, okay, I went in today, I said I'm going to do 10 sets of 10 pull-ups. Guess what? Ow, it hurt when I did that. Well, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to show up and I'm going to do the workout, even if I don't feel like it, but maybe I'm going to deviate from the preconceived plan that I had before I actually got into the workout itself. And I think the ability to improvise and the ability to go and maybe challenge your preconceived notions is something that's disappearing right now, And again, you alluded to it before, man. Like, we got to open our minds, man. We got to be willing to hear people in the gym and everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what it is.
You brought something up before. I want to take the ball and pass it off to you. You brought up that, I mean, we know you have a ton of books out there. We mentioned, I think I hit all of them. If not, definitely, you know.
I have like 1 million. It's okay. Buy Get Strong. Get Strong is the one to buy. Just buy it.
Get Strong. Awesome. Now, so, you know, you're doing the workshops and personal training at a bunch of gyms. And I know the shops came to a screeching halt. And then also your personal training at these gyms came to a screeching halt. How have you been able to maintain income? How have you been able to, you know, pay your bills for these past 3 years?
That's a really good question. You know, there's a lot of people out there. You kindly called me 2 things during this interview. In the introduction, you called me young man, which was very kind. And then later on, you called me famous, which was also very kind. But there's a lot of people out there that think I'm famous that don't realize I wake up at 5 in the morning every day and go to work. This is how I take care of my son. This is how I pay my bills. So when this shutdown started, you know, I trained everywhere. I'd go to people's apartments and train them. I go to the gym in their building and train them. I mentioned Complete Body on 19th Street. I'd go there. I'd go to Gotham Strength. I had Nimble Fitness. I had locations that I would go to. I rent the gym for an hour that I could go train somebody one-on-one. And that was my day. I'd wake up early. I'd run around all day. I'd get home late, and I'd wake up early again. So when this happened and our governor decided that fitness was not essential, like lottery tickets and liquor stores are essential. When this decision was made, I'll be honest with you, Phil. I flipped out. The first 2 weeks, I was in despair. I was like, what the hell am I going to do? Like, I was in a very dark and negative place, as I'm sure a lot of us were in this business. And I was very fortunate in that a lot of my clients were willing and able to transition online and train on FaceTime and train on Zoom and train on Skype and things like that. And that was very lucky for me. But in reality, I mean, I'm an in-person experience, and something I had to wrestle with is for my clients that I took on, and it enabled me also to take on clients outside of New York. So I acquired clients as far away as Singapore, you know, who would have actually, the guy in Singapore was signed up for the Taiwan PCC, and that got canceled. So I wound up training him online now, and he's a great guy. Robin Chi, if you're watching, you're the man. But it enabled me to do that. But at the same time, there's nothing that beats an in-person experience. And I'm converting to doing online training, and I will continue to do it with my people that are in Wisconsin or Boston or Singapore or wherever they might be. But I can't wait to get back in the gym, and I can't wait to train people in person again. I started training some people outdoors with whatever protocol we have to use, social distance, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, training people in Prospect Park and training people in outdoor locations, Coney Island, training people on the beach, stuff like that. And to me, I love doing that. I love the in-person experience. You know, I'm good online. I'm really good online. I'm better than most online. But if I'm not there, there's things that I can't see. And I'm going to be real, you know, that's the truth. There's certain things, there's certain nuances that you get from an in-person experience. And the thing is right now, this is all we got. For a lot of people, this is all we got. And I have clients who I train who are elderly, who are not going to meet up in person anytime soon, even after the gym's open. And I understand they're in a high-risk group, and I get it. But, you know, the funny thing is I had a lady contact me from Switzerland. She works for the UN, and she's here in New York, and she contacted me about personal training. So, of course, I was very, very cautious. I was like, well, we can do Skype sessions. We can do this. We can do that. We can meet at Prospect Park. But yeah, she's like, yeah, let's meet at Prospect Park. And so I show up, and like I got like my face shield, like Dr. Pimple Popper on, you know, and I have like my hand sanitizer in my hand, and I have all this stuff. She shows up with nothing. She's like, you don't need to wear that mask. It's cool. And then we went to the bars in Prospect Park, and everybody there was just doing their thing. And I know I'm going to get some heat for this, and I know I'm going to get some shade for this. But I got to tell you, it was so refreshing for me to see. And people were just doing their damn thing. And I brought rubber gloves for this lady to wear. I brought everything. She's like, nah, it's cool. It's cool. And I'll tell you, that was the first time I was in an environment like that in a while.
Yeah.
And man, it felt really good, man. Just a lot of people just working out, doing their pull-ups, doing their push-ups, a real fitness community. And I think that in addition to the workouts themselves, I think that the community is something that's really, really missing now that the fitness industry transitions so much online. Like there's a certain vibe, you know, again, I mentioned Complete Body Gym. I love that place. I've been training there for many years. Like this is a gym where people are strong. This is a gym where people, like, you know, I mean, you got power lifters there, you got bodybuilders there, you got people deadlifting 800 pounds, like obscene amounts of weight in this gym. And there's just an energy in there. There's just a sweat in the air and a feeling in your veins when you're in there. And that's something you cannot replicate online. No. And that's something, and even, you know, me and Al, we got some heat for it online. But the day they opened the parks, we hosted a outdoor workshop at Tompkins Square Park in Alphabet City, our old stomping ground. And we were like, everybody come down. This is not a workshop. This is just everybody come down. This is a calisthenics meetup. And there was some criticism for it. But whatever, like the community and the solidarity, people showing up to work out is good.
Yeah. If they don't want to go, they don't have to go, A. B, boosting your immune system is your best defense for any of this stuff. And working out is a huge part of that.
So. And being outside, you know, like there's an amazing, you know, we shared a lot, you know, the George Carlin germs monologue on YouTube. I'm sure you guys have seen it. Everybody's sharing it now. But it's true. It's like we got immune systems, but they need some practice, you know?
Yeah, you know, it's something I've brought this up before too, is that your immune system operates on the same premise as your musculoskeletal system. And if you sit there and sit in your house like a veal and do nothing, you are not going to get stronger. You're not going to develop strength. You have to challenge your muscles to get stronger. Yes. Right. Same thing with your immune system. We're exposed to bacteria, virus, germs every day. And that's what keeps our immune system strong. If not, it will become suppressed. We'll become more vulnerable. So, you know, you have to get out there and work out. You have to keep exposing yourself to germs, to viruses in order to build the immunity.
100% agreed. You know, and you know, the other thing is that there will always be novel viruses.
Yes.
Like this will always happen, and viruses will always mutate, and they will always change. And this virus is very real, and it's highly contagious, and people have died. But do we shut down everything every time there's a novel virus? I mean, it's at the point where, you know, I have a client who's a judge in family court. And she's been out of work this whole time. You got foster kids, you got abused kids, you got people who are trapped in abusive situations, and their cases are not being heard. Wow. Is this really good for public health right now? You got suicides going up. You got kids becoming antisocial. Like my son, he's an only child. He'll be 14 on Tuesday, and I'm making him do 100 push-ups a day. But a lot of kids don't have dads that are going to make them do 100 push-ups a day. A lot of kids don't have dads that are going to say, you know what, we're getting on the bike, we're riding to Coney Island and back. That's 10 miles. That's what we're doing today.
Let's go.
And, you know, they need to do it. They need to be physically active. They need to be mentally active. Again, at the risk of being wildly criticized, you know, I'm somebody who's a big advocate of kids going back to school. I think not just for the learning, which anyone who says that this online learning is the same is lying or kidding themselves or lying to you or lying to themselves. No kid has learned anything since March 16th. That's a fact. Anyone who's saying anything else is delusional. It's show up, answer a stupid question, and then the teacher goes back to sleep. That's what's happening right now. So I don't just want my kid to go back to school for the education. I want him to go back to school for the socialization. This is how you learn to act in a society. This is how you learn to act in the community. This is how you learn to talk to girls. This is how you learn to interact with friends, is by being around them. And you want to take away a child's ability to interact with other human beings. You want to strip them of that in the name of public health? Like, what the hell?
It's ridiculous. This notion is just so far out there.
But McDonald's is opened, but the weed dispensaries are open. But you could buy a lotto ticket, but the liquor stores are open. Like, what world are we living in? I could buy a hamburger at Carl's Jr., but I couldn't go to the dentist until 2 weeks ago. What the heck, man?
And you can't do a push-up in your gym. You know, I mean.
And I'll tell you something, you know, gyms, a gym like yours, a gym like many of the people we know who own gyms, these are the cleanest places you want to be. Your gym, the owner is there all the time. This ain't no big box gym. This ain't no Crunch. This ain't no Equinox. This is a gym where the owner is personally there to oversee every interaction that happens. You can personally wipe down every single kettlebell in between appointments. But we want to keep gyms closed.
Well, let's roll this back. Just want to let you know, just for the record, I'm not a gym, not a fitness facility. I'm an instructional facility, and I provide instruction by appointment only, and I'm open. There you go.
Good.
Okay?
Good.
That's
right.
That's
one-on-one individual appointment only instruction.
Appointment only, and you know what? And yes, you want me to tell you something? I have. Doug's been here. I have HEPA air filters doing 1,000 cubic feet per hour, cleansing the air in my studio. I have ultraviolet lights I put on periodically to kill anything else. I have hospital grade cleansers. We have the IR infrared temperature device for checking temperatures. Bell's equipment is cleaned between uses. And the other thing is, if you're training with kettlebells, you can't be closer than 6 feet. It's impossible.
No, you can't.
You know, I've always maintained social distance with kettlebell training. Just
you maintained social distancing before it was cool.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So
you don't want to get cracked in the head with a 36-kilo bell.
The air in there is definitely cleaner than it is outside. He's got so much stuff going on in there.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. If this is about cleanliness, like, do you think that going to Walmart where 1,000 people are touching everything that's clean? Do you think, going to Target where 1,000 people are touching everything, that this is clean? Like, I just don't understand. And it's not like there's been a spike in these places either. There hasn't.
No, they're touching their mask, touching the stuff, putting it here, and adjusting the mask, fixing the. Come on, guys. You know what? If you're gonna get it, you're gonna get it.
And that's the other thing about the mask. And obviously, of course, if you wear a mask, there's going to be less liquid or spit or saliva being dispersed between people. If you drive if you lower the speed limit to 25 miles an hour on the interstate, there's going to be less car accidents too. But at what point do we analyze what's happening here? And, people have said to me, well, would you want a surgeon operating on you without a mask? No, of course I wouldn't want a friggin' surgeon operating on me without a mask. That's a very different situation. Right. But, if you're going to say that putting an old T-shirt over your mouth is the same thing, then you're living in a delusional world. Because any germs are microscopic, homie. We need a microscope to see them. They're going to pass through a cloth also. And yes, if I'm going to go spit on somebody, the cloth is going to block me. Yes. But you know what? We have to analyze the cost and the effects of these things. Right. And to just, again, it goes back to that dogma. It goes back to either this or that. If you're pro-mask or anti-mask. No, I've been pro-washing my hands. I wash my hands. I live in Brooklyn, New York, man. I take the train. You better believe I've been washing my hands before March. This stuff is disgusting.
Trying to stop these microbes with a cloth is like trying to stop a mosquito with a chain link fence. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. And you brought up something about a surgeon. I'm gonna circle back to some of the things that we were talking about before. You have a surgeon, right? Now, what if this surgeon kind of gets pushed through school as opposed to, having standards? You want to be on an operating table with somebody who just got pushed through with participation trophy awards.
Right.
I mean, I want the best surgeon. I want these standards here. Or, you know what? God forbid you're in a burning building and someone comes in to carry you out. Oh, well, the standards got lowered. They can only pick up 70 pounds. They can't pick up 200 pounds. Can we
Yeah,
afford
no,
that?
there has to be a standard. No, there has to be a meritocracy. There has to be I want somebody who is able to pass all these classes and do their internship and be a preceptor and do their residency and put in their hours and put in their, I said hours, but what I should have said is put in their years of preceptorship and residency before they're able to do that. And you're right. If we just make it, okay, it's not the census. Like it's not everyone is exactly the same. It's not.
No.
And, again, with the surgeon, it's like when a surgeon wears a mask, if they touch that mask, it goes in a biohazard bin, okay? You touch it once, it's gone. You change it, you touch it once, it's gone. If these masks are protecting us from germs, how come there's not biohazard bins on every corner? And in fact, I'll take it a step further because I live in Brooklyn, New York, which is returning to what Brooklyn, New York was in the 70s and 80s, which is a whole other story. I walk around, and you know what I see on the floor? I see trash, I see waste, I see garbage, and 50% of it is gloves and masks. You're going to tell me in the name of public health, we're soiling the street with gloves and masks? If you care so much to wear a mask, throw it in the trash can. Don't throw it in front of my house. Don't throw it in my neighborhood. I walk around. My neighbors love me, but it's ridiculous. I walk around. I used to walk around with a broom and a dustpan and sweep my whole block because there's so many masks and gloves on the floor. The dustpan can't even do it anymore. I walk around with a shovel. For real. Ask Annie. Ask anybody. I walk around with a shovel and a big, like janitor-style industrial broom, and I sweep my whole block because there's piles of masks, because there's piles of gloves on the floor. So if this is containing so much infectious stuff, you're not going to put it in the biohazard bin or at least a garbage can. Like it's a world gone mad, Phil. It's a world gone mad, and I don't know what to do about it. All we can do is do the best we can. Be kind to people. Work out. Read books. Try to listen to as many different perspectives as we can, and use our own judgment and reason and experience and common sense, and try to make informed decisions and try to take care of our children and try to take care of our elders and be a better man and be a better woman and have a better, make this a better place. Because I swear, man, it feels like people want to tear the world down right now and make it a worse place. I don't know what to do. We got to do our push-ups. It's like Hulk Hogan, right? Eat your vitamins, say your prayers. Like this is what we got to do. We got to promote positivity because I've been away. I think I mentioned before, I'm in Ocean City, Maryland. I'm taking a little family vacation this week. I'm broadcasting from the garage in the rental house I'm at.
Awesome.
And, we just got to take care of each other, man. I have not been on the internet much this week, and it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made recently because I put on Facebook. I put on all these websites. I put on Instagram, and it's just negative this and negative that, and you're an idiot because you disagree with me. Well, you're an idiot because you disagree with me. And I think that when we get to a point where we can't hear other opinions or other reasonable responses to things, and we just shut down anybody that has any other perspective than what we have. And I'm talking about body weight versus kettlebells versus barbells, of course, and nothing else. So, but we're in a very dangerous place, and I don't think that helps anybody on any side of anything. We got to hear each other. It's like I said before, the fact that I'm all about unity is a controversial position right now. And if that's a controversial position in 2020, then I don't know what the heck is going on because the world's gone completely mad. And that's why I'm just going to keep making my kid do 100 push-ups a day, and I'm going to keep trying to read books, and I'm going to keep trying to cook food, and I'm going to keep trying to get in the sunshine and be nice to people and clean up my neighborhood because this is all we can do right now.
You bring a great message of unity and positivity, and there's another thing too that you have to look at. Like, there's no shortcuts to any change. Like, okay, if there's a change with like policing or a change in your body or a change in your status or a change in your job, there's no shortcuts. There's a process. You brought it up before. There's a process to all this, and we have to go through the process because you know what? If you just jump from here to here, there's a lot of things you miss in between. There's a lot of room for error in between. Like, okay, here, if you make a meal at home or you go to McDonald's drive-through, which is better for you? making the meal at home. We can make adjustments. You do this, that. But what happens fast? You can get a meal from McDonald's in 2 seconds. That making the meal, putting something into it, takes some time and adjustment and things like that. There's no shortcuts to getting there. And people have to realize that there's something that I'm going to do. And I thought of it a couple weeks ago, but I'm going to start putting it out there now. May as well put it out there now, today.
Right now,
right now, we're doing on July 30th. Don't go on don't do any social media, none. And July 31st, come on and say something positive on every single social media outlet you can do. That's what I want to do. I want to start spreading that. So start spreading it around. July 30th, no social media, nothing. Just boom. And then the next day, just something positive. Just something positive. You got to
that's the thing right now is everything in the media is about ratings, right? And positivity doesn't get ratings. And I'm not saying that everything is positive. I believe in discomfort. Like you work out, right? When you work out, you're uncomfortable. You're in stressful positions. You are in discomfort. And a lot of these conversations, and again, obviously we're not just talking about fitness here. We're talking about what's happening in the world with COVID, with race relations, with political alignments, with all these things that are happening. And yes, we have to face uncomfortable conversations. And I could say that there's things I agree with on this side. There's things I disagree with on that side. There's things that I do agree with on that side. There's things that I disagree with on this side. And I could say race relationships are tough. And I could say that there are good cops. And I could also say that horrendous cops need to be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And I could also say that I believe in equality and not superiority. And these are real things. And I can't say that racism is real. And we can't pretend that it isn't. But at the same time, we have to address that there are many, many people in this world and no one is superior to anybody. And we're all humans. And we all are going to reap what we sow at the end of the day. And these conversations are uncomfortable. And I think that people like you and people like me who work out and who face difficulty or adversity in life, we're okay with having difficult conversations. You mentioned millennials or Gen Z or this or that. These are people that never want to be uncomfortable. It's like, oh, you said something I don't like. You're not allowed to say it anymore. No. And it's like, no, people are going to say stuff that you don't. I almost cursed. People are going to say stuff that you don't like. And they're going to make you uncomfortable. And the answer when someone makes you uncomfortable isn't to cancel them and say you don't have the right to speak. Everyone has the right to speak, even people I disagree with, even people who offend me. I get offended all the time with stupidity. I'm not going to say you don't have the right to say something that offends me. Good. It's your right to say something. I believe in freedom of speech. Maybe that's even controversial right now in the world we live in. I don't know. The things that used to make me a liberal now make me a conservative. If I say I believe in freedom of speech, that used to be a liberal quality. Now it's a conservative quality. If I say judging people by who they are, not by their character, that used to be a liberal principle. Now it's a conservative principle. Like, I don't know. I don't like these labels, but I think we all need to strip away the labels and not be afraid to be uncomfortable, but also not be afraid to express ourselves and not shut somebody out if they have a different expression than you do.
I mean, it's funny you bring that up. Years ago, back in the early 80s, I was at a neighbor's house, and he's a Jewish guy. And he was talking, and he said,
one of my brothers. Okay.
We're the tribe. And he was talking about the Nazis. They were doing a march, some Nazi march. And I was furious. I'm a young guy. And I'm like, how you can't allow them to do this? These people, they preach hate. They try killing. I go, gosh, you're Jewish. How come you supported this? He goes, listen. He goes, this is America. Everyone has a right to an opinion and a right to free speech. And even though I don't agree with them, I still support their right of expression. Of course, as a young guy, we still bantered back and forth to give a Reader's Digest version of it. But you know what? But that's what a liberal was.
Yeah. Back then. The ACLU, I used to literally be a card-carrying member of the ACLU. Yeah. And I remember, the motto was, I may not agree with you, but I will fight to the death for your right to say it. And that's the opposite of what's happening right now. Yeah. And again, I'm not talking about stuff that incites violence. I'm not talking about stuff that incites violence. That's not what I'm talking about.
No, not at
all. what I'm talking about is people have the right to say horrible things. This guy, Nick Cannon, just lost his job for saying anti-Semitic stuff. You know what? I don't think he should have lost his job. And I'm a Jew. I don't think he should have lost his job. There's worse things in the world than being anti-Semite. There's worse things in the world than someone calling you a racist. There are. You know, we're fighting to you know, we're letting criminals out of jail right now. And, you know, being a rapist, being a killer, being a thug, this is worse than saying something nasty, which is mean. And I disagree with it. And it's horrible. And you shouldn't do it. But you did it. And you know what? Like, are you going to lose your job for that? Like, come on now. Well, like, you're allowed to be anti-Semitic. I don't like it, but anti-Semites exist. And I hope he can change his mind. Or I hope we can all change our mind. I hope we can all be more open and understand that there are many cultures in this world. You know, when I was growing up, I'm from New York, man. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I went to PS 208. Google it. I went to Builder C Junior High School. Google it. You know, these are places where I was the only white kid. And I grew up just whatever. This is life. This is what we got. And I grew up thinking that New York City and America was a melting pot where we celebrate other cultures, where we embrace other cultures. Now, if you embrace another culture, you're bad because you appropriated something that wasn't yours. That's not the America I grew up in. Like, we're all brothers and sisters right here. And I celebrate other cultures. I'm not saying I celebrate racists or anti-Semites, but I'm saying they do exist. And I hope that can end. But I live in the real world. This is what I'm talking about, uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah. Well,
someone get fired because they said something messed up?
Well, here, I don't think it was, you know, I listened to his comments, and I don't think he maybe got fired for that. I think he got fired because he sounded like an idiot. Because
he is an idiot. He is an idiot. It's not illegal to be an idiot.
I mean, he's a moron, and this goes to prove something. You don't have to be smart to make money in this country, and that should make a lot of people happy, okay? Because this guy is a moron. This stuff he said, I mean, it's so...
He is an idiot. He's allowed to be an idiot. He should lose his job for being an idiot.
Maybe they had an intelligence clause in his contract. I don't know. No intelligence.
No, I mean, look, I hate what he said. But people say hateful, stupid stuff all the time. And I think this reaction, this cancel culture, it's like I don't know if you saw my favorite comedian, the person I think is the most brilliant comic in the world is Dave Chappelle. I saw Dave Chappelle at Comedy Cellar when I was 19 years old, and he was 19 years old. And I was on a date with this girl, and we just went to Comedy Cellar because you go to comedy club. Okay, let me take you on a date. And this kid, he was a kid like me. We're the same age. Dave Chappelle got on the stage, and I never forgot him. And I think he's the most brilliant comic genius. And he did his most recent piece that he debuted on YouTube. And he said some very controversial and mean things about Candace Owens. And Candace Owens, who is a conservative political pundit, her response to it, I mean, he said some nasty stuff about her. And he's a comedian. He busts on people. That's what he does. And her response was, I am honored to be in a Dave Chappelle skit. He is one of the greats. And I don't believe in cancel culture. And I think comedians should be able to say whatever they want to say. And I'm honored to be in his sketch. And I think that is taking the high road. People can say things. What he said about her was very nasty. But she said, hey, comedians are going to joke. And I don't have to like everything that they say. And I'm not about canceling someone because I didn't like what they say. And that's how I feel. And I might think Nick Cannon's an idiot. I don't know. Maybe he's not. I never met the guy. Who the hell do I know?
I met him.
But what he said, I don't like it. Do I think he should lose his job for it? I honestly don't. And I'm going to lose some followers for this. I'm doing the hashtag race to 0 followers with this one. You know, that's what I'm doing right now. And I don't even care, man. I really don't even care.
Put it this way. I know so little about Nick Cannon that I didn't even know he was divorced from Mariah Carey.
Yeah, no, him and Eminem had some diss tracks together where they just dissed each other about Mariah. That's all I know. My son is a big Eminem fan, so I know that they have a lot of diss tracks against each other. That's all I know about him, though. But whatever. I mean, whatever. Let the guy should be able to make a living, you know. Obviously, people like him. Obviously, he's got some kind of talent. Good. He said something stupid. Do you lose your – look, man, if everything I ever said that was stupid, if it cost me my job every time I said something stupid – I went to work since I was 15. You know, I've said a lot of stupid things in my life too. You know, we all say stupid things. What's that?
Yeah, and not only that, but I have some more coming. I have some more stupid things to say yet.
Oh yeah.
And
we're allowed to say stupid things,
exactly.
and you can't cancel people for saying stupid things.
No.
And people can change, and people can learn. And when you throw something that somebody said 20 years ago and say this doesn't fly now,
right?
Well, then let them address it. Don't end them.
You brought up an incredible point, and you said, you know what? People change over time, and you know you're holding someone to standards now from 100. 300, 500 years ago is just ludicrous, and people change in our lifetime. I've changed, and you know, bringing this back to our fitness. How is your philosophy on your training and presentation of your training morphed over the past few years?
Well, I'm glad you brought it back to training because I really don't want 0 followers. So thank you for doing that. You know, my thing with training is this. To just distill it down into something really simple, consistency is going to dwarf intensity every time, although both are important. So we have to train consistently and we have to train intensely. But if you're going to take, hey, I'm going to do a 3-hour workout once a week, that's not going to get you far as working out 30 minutes every day. So it's a matter of doing the work. You show up, you do the work. You want to be a monk, you got to make a lot of rice. You got to show up and have these rituals. And the ritual is 100 push-ups a day. The ritual is pull-ups. The ritual is kettlebells. The ritual is barbells. The ritual is running. The ritual is rowing. There's a lot of rituals that we can choose from. But if you're not showing up and doing the work, I think I said before, it's like playing a musical instrument or learning a foreign language. You can't cram it. You have to consistently do the work. So although I'm a huge advocate of both consistency and intensity, when it comes down to it, you got to be consistent. You got to show up day after day, and you got to show up whether you feel like it or not. You know, I had a blog which later morphed into a YouTube video about motivation, and basically what I said was F motivation. And I'm not saying that motivation is a bad thing. Motivation is a good thing. But if you're only going to work out every time you're motivated, then you're going to miss a lot of workouts. You got to show up and do the work, whether you're motivated or not. And that's why I hate these stupid hashtags, Motivation Monday and Flex Friday and whatever, man. I'm not waiting for Motivation Monday. I'm not waiting for motivation any day. There are days I wake up, I say, how am I going to get through the day? How am I going to feed my kid? How am I going to cook breakfast? How am I going to buy toilet paper? How am I going to pay my bills? And you know what? I don't sit in bed and say, oh, I'm not motivated to do these things. I get up. Like Jocko says, just get up and do it, you know? And I get up and I say, okay, I'm going to do the tasks that I have to do. So maybe I'm not motivated to go to DMV, or maybe I'm not motivated to take out the garbage or brush out my teeth. But I do these anyway because I don't want my teeth to fall out, or I don't want rotting stuff in my living room. So I wake up and I do the work whether I feel like it or not. And if I'm motivated, well, hell yeah, that's great. I want to be motivated, and I'll take it and I will run with it. But I'll tell you right now, 8 out of 10 workouts I do, I am not motivated. I'm disciplined, I'm dedicated, and I show up, motivated or not. If we're waiting for motivation to strike, then we're never getting out of bed. You got to show up and do the stuff whether you're motivated or not.
It's funny, you know what, you bring that up, you know, because people talk about motivation, and I'll tell you, when I did my commencement speech for my graduation.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I said, you know, motivation is fleeting. You know, motivation's fleeting. You have to find your drivers. You got to find what drives you. What's going to get you up? What is going to make you do it? Because I'll tell you what, I worked out today before podcast. You know, I had some sessions, blah, blah, blah. Yesterday, I was Thursdays are a very tough day for me. I do a couple of online sessions that are scheduled with the different organizations. One of them is a college, one of them is Burn Along, blah, blah, blah. And then I teach my class. So everything's pop, 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 right in a row. So I'm going 2.5 hours straight. I'm sore. How I feel today. And then, of course, you know, I'm still teaching. So when I got up, do you think I felt like doing my workout today? No, my calves were sore just walking. Okay. But you know what? I said, screw this noise, started my 300 jump ropes, and I got going.
Yeah. You do it anyway. You know, if we only did things that we were in the mood to do, I'd be sitting around eating ice cream and drinking whiskey, masturbating all day, you know, and I can't really live my life like that. So I have to do things whether I feel like doing them or not.
It's hard to drink whiskey.
Yeah, no, I've tried it. It's a nightmare.
Very difficult.
Maybe I'll try it again later. We'll see what happens. I already did my workout. But, you show up and you do it. And again, to your point, Phil, what you brought up earlier on is the world is morphing into a place where it's people are only going to do what they feel like doing.
Right.
And, you interview for a job and it's like, oh, I want to be a CEO and start my own company. You want to be a CEO? Good. Get a job in the mailroom and work your ass off. That's how you're going to be a CEO.
That's it.
And you got to put in the work, whether it's fitness, whether it's life, whether it's your job, whether it's your family. You have to put in the time and you have to put in the work, and there's no substitute for it.
No. Let me just for wrapping up, I'd like to see, we've morphed a lot in this industry in the past 4 months, right? Where do you see us going? I know I'm coming off. I had a record year last year at my studio. I mean, everything's firing all cylinders, and then kablooey, all this craziness occurred, and now I've had to retool. But where do you see the industry going? I mean, we see these big box gyms. I mean, do you see them opening up again soon? Do you see? I mean, I don't know. I mean, how many places have gone out of business by you that used to train at?
I mean, not only have places gone out of business, but even the places that haven't gone out of business yet are very terrified. And where is this industry going? Sadly, I think it's transitioning more and more online, just like everything else. You got the fitness online business, which I prefer in person. And, you got online retail. You got stores that are just retail stores that can't sell merchandise, and everyone is buying everything on Amazon or on the internet. You got, I like to do my own food shopping. I like to look at the produce and look at the tomatoes and look at the cucumbers and pick the stuff that I want to buy. But man, when I go to ShopRite, all I see is people holding up apps doing shopping for other people. And, everybody wants to sit at home because it's dangerous if they go outside, but they don't mind someone else going outside if it's to bring them a pizza or to bring them groceries. So I think, at least temporarily, this industry is going to get worse before it gets better, meaning it's going to be more online before it's more in person. But if I may put one positive spin on it, when I do go to those pull-up bars in Prospect Park, and I do go to those pull-up bars in Coney Island, what I see is a real in-person fitness community. Now, it's not the fitness industry because it's not a business, but one thing that does give me a very strong and real glimmer of hope is I was at Coney Island last week, and they got the pull-up bars on the beach, and there were people of all ages, people of all backgrounds, people of all races and nationalities and ethnic groups, blacks and whites and Jews and Russians and Puerto Ricans and Asians and everybody. There were people in their 60s. There were people who were 14 years old, and they were all on those pull-up bars. So I have to look at that. And I have to say that our community is strong. And even if the industry is suffering right now, I'm hoping it's temporary. But sadly, I do think it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, I think that we're going to see a wave of fallout, especially when some of these places were holding on, or maybe they got some PPP funds, and then they run out, and then when they're allowed to open up, and then they can only go to a certain capacity.
Yeah. I'm just going to kill these places, these big box gyms. And again, you know me, I'm not a huge advocate of big box gyms, but there's a certain virtue to a big box gym. Like if you belong to whatever, Equinox or Crunch or whatever, one of the things that's nice about it, I train a lot of professional people, and they train with me, 1 hour a week, but then they have a membership to Equinox or whatever. And one of the nice things about Equinox is you could just show up at 5 a.m. and do your workout if you want. You could just show up at 10 p.m. and do your workout if you want. And these gyms, when they reopen, you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to have to book your time in advance on maybe not MindBody, but some type of app or program like that, where you're going to say, okay, I want to go in at 6 a.m. on Tuesday and use a treadmill. And that's going to make it really hard for the members, and then, a lot of people go to gyms like this because of the services. It's like that you could go to Equinox or Crunch or Sports Club at 5:30 in the morning, work out for an hour, jump in the shower, and then get to work by 8 o'clock.
Right.
Well, they're not going to be letting you use the showers. You're going to have to reserve your time because they're only going to operate at 25 or 50% capacity. And I'm definitely more of an advocate for the independent studio owner than I am. I'm not going to shed a tear for Equinox the way I'm going to shed a tear for my brothers and sisters who are going out of business. But at the same time, those people, they pay that money for Equinox for a reason. They're paying that I could just show up at 5:30 and use a treadmill if I want. And when you have to reserve it a week in advance, it's they're not going to want to go there anymore. And then they're going to be the ones who are missing out.
Yeah. So we got some work ahead of us, brother. We got some work ahead of us. So we just got to keep spreading the good word and get it out there. But just remember, on July 30th, no social media. July 31st, all positive messages. Start spreading the word.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah, Phil.
I think that's what we got to do. We got to reset. We got to hit a reset button somehow because it's just gone crazy. It's out of control.
It's out of control. And what happens is when you don't let people work or go to the movies or go to a concert or watch sports, then people have nothing to do but sit on Facebook and troll each other all day. And that sucks because it's a big, beautiful world. And there really is a lot more out there than the hostility and the negativity and the division that exists. And it does exist. And like I said, I'm not afraid to be in uncomfortable situations. I'm not afraid to have uncomfortable conversations. But it is a big, beautiful world. That's why I'm in Ocean City, Maryland right now. I'm going to the beach every day. I look at the ocean. The ocean's been here a lot longer than you and me. It's going to be here a lot longer after we're gone. And the ocean will calm my restless soul as long as I need it to. And I'm going to listen to the waves. I'm going to give myself up to the power of the forces that are much greater than any of us. And yeah, man, we just got to keep the dream alive, and keep moving forward. And we've been through hard things, and we're going to continue to be through hard things. And, anyone who thinks they're being super virtuous by making a Facebook post about how this or that they are, they gotta put their computer down and just go outside in the real world and look at reality. And, your Facebook post doesn't make you a virtuous hero. Go do something real. Go clean up some friggin' garbage in your neighborhood, Go plant a tree. Go do something. Paint a picture. Write a song. Do some push-ups. Do something.
Danny, as always, a pleasure to talk with you. And it's incredible that we got you on here. And, we're definitely going to have you on again. First time of many. But guys, this was a great show. We again, thank Danny for being our guest. And this is Master Phil. With Master Phil in your corner, strength and honor. Woo!